ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकय चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपादकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सखगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सखगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। Welcome to our weekly study of Bhagavad Gita. So we are actually continuing to read from third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, right, entitled as Karma Yoga. So we saw that this chapter contains 5 sections. The first section is Arjuna's confusion, right, renunciation or action. Because earlier in 2.49, Krishna said to Arjuna, by knowledge, right, stay away from abominable activities. And then later also he said, stand up and fight. So Arjuna was, confused. Then he said, Krishna, so you are giving this equivocal instruction. One side you are asking me to stand up and fight, other side you are asking me to stay away from abominable activities. So this looks like contradictory. So please tell me which is better, right? Is knowledge or action? That means knowledge means renunciation. By knowledge, what comes? Renunciation. Because we know that, when we are engaged in activity, right, what comes along with it? Reactions to that activity, karma. So by knowledge, one says that, okay, I have to renounce things. Otherwise, on the other side, you are asking me to do action, doing prescribed duty, right? Which is better? Why are you asking me to fight? So that's Arjuna's question. And then Krishna responds to that. He is saying that, there are 2 types of people, right? The Jnana yogis who renounce work, and then Karma yogis who do prescribed work, right? So both of them are actually transcendentalist. Both of them are on the path of yoga only. And Krishna says how premature renunciation of work is not recommended. Because everybody has to be active. One cannot avoid being not active. So if you artificially renounce the activities, still you might be attached to those activities. So when you are attached to those activities, when you artificially renounce, right, at some time, at some point in time, we might actually succumb to those desires. We might fall down from that position of renunciation, right? So that's what Krishna says, right? So premature renunciation simply causes social disturbance, right? A pretender externally renounces work, but internally he dwells on the sense objects. So for those people, it is better to perform the prescribed work, especially that work needs to be done in connection to Vishnu. That way they can avoid bondage. So that's what we covered. We covered up to verse 10. No, verse 10 is part of the next section. So the next section is like Krishna is going to talk, right? He talked about Nishkama Karma Yoga, doing your prescribed work, not being attached to the results of that work, right? But even if you are attached to the work, the right thing to do is doing your prescribed duty and being not attached to the work. Even if you are attached to the work and the fruits of the results, still you should continue to do the prescribed duty, because that is what prescribed. By doing that, what will happen? One will get purified. So that is what Krishna is going to explain in this section 10 to 16, right? He explains how, we saw that last week, right? 10th verse we saw, right? How work has to be done for the pleasure of Vishnu, right? So this contains, attaining happiness by sacrifice, right? And then by cooperation between men and demigods, one can actually be peaceful in this world, because the demigods provide all the material necessities. And then further Krishna says, one should eat food which is offered first in sacrifice. Otherwise, right, we are not being grateful to the one what we receive, right? And then Krishna talks about further cycle of sacrifice, and then the life becomes sinful without, engaging in sacrifice yajna. So that's what we are going to see. The connection between the previous section, right? That Nishkama Karma Yoga, right, to this section, that is verses 10 to 16, from Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga. You can see in the screen, I have this link. Whenever you see this link symbol, right, the chain link, that means this gives the connection. What is connection between the previous section and this section? Krishna thus suggested that working for Lord without desire for results, that is Karma Yoga, is better for Arjuna than premature renunciation of work, Jnana Yoga. Now Krishna tells Arjuna, but if you are not free from desire for the results of action, then you should still perform actions with desire, Karma Kanda, rather than giving up actions completely. By satisfying one's desires in a religious way, those who are attached will be purified. So this is the link, right? So the gist of this section is Lord Krishna has designed this material world to encourage yajna or sacrifice. He does this by making material advancement dependent upon sacrifice. By worshipping the Lord for material well-being, one becomes purified. So this is the gist. See, we are all trying to be comfortable in this material world, right? Whether you are spiritual or not spiritual, even the atheist, everybody is trying to make, comfortable arrangement in this world, right? Even if you are not interested so much in advancing in spiritual life, people are religious. Religious means, they want to do the things in the right way. So they basically, the arrangement in this material world, right, to make this world comfortable in this material world, there are two ways. One is to do in a dharmic way or religious way. Another is to do in a adharmic way. The atheists and the non-believers, they say that there is no God. There is, God doesn't exist. We are in charge of everything. So we have to do whatever we have to do to make this world comfortable. They use all kind of means, whether ethical or non-ethical, doesn't matter. Beg, borrow or steal, right? I will somehow or the other make this world comfortable for me. The whole purpose of life is to enjoy, live the life to the full extent, right? That's their goal. But the problem with that is that there is a karmic reaction to all the activities we do. Whether we know it or not, whether we do it knowingly or unknowingly, for activities we do, there is a karmic reaction, right? We saw that there are two types of action. The actions which are prescribed in the scripture, when you do, there is a positive reaction. actions which are prohibited in the scriptures, when you do, there will be a negative reaction. Whether you know the difference between these two or not, there will be a reaction. So Krishna is telling, even if you are actually not completely detached from the fruits of the work, which is Nishkama Karma Yoga or Karma Yoga, still you are materially, interested to make this world comfortable. You want all the facilities in this world. Still, you should engage in a dharmic way. You should do your prescribed duty as an offering unto Vishnu. Right? So that's what he is telling. In the 10th verse, right, Krishna said, right, in the beginning of the creation, right, the Lord of all creatures, Prajapati, created population along with sacrifice, yagyas, and said, may you all get desirable things by this yagya to live happily and achieve liberation. That's what we see last week, right? The 10th verse. In the beginning of creation, right, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods along with sacrifices for Vishnu and blessed them, saying, be thou happy by this yagya, sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation. So that's what we saw. Today we are going to continue from 11th verse, right? Devan bhava yatena te deva bhavayantu vaha parasparam bhavayantaha shraya param avapsyate. Devan, demigods, bhavayata, having pleased anena by this sacrifice, te, those, devaha, demigods, bhavayantu, will please, vaha, you, parasparam, mutually, bhavayantaha, pleasing one another, shrayaha, benediction, param, the supreme, avapsyate, avapsyata, you will achieve. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The demigods, being pleased by sacrifices, will also please you. And thus, by cooperation between men and demigods, prosperity will reign for all. Purport. The demigods are empowered administrators of material affairs. The supply of air, light, water, and all other benedictions for maintaining the body and soul of every living entity is entrusted to the demigods, who are innumerable assistants in different parts of the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Their pleasures and displeasures are dependent on the performance of yajna by the human being. Some of the yagyas are meant to satisfy particular demigods. But even in so doing, Lord Vishnu is worshipped in all yagyas as the chief beneficiary. It is stated also in the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna himself is the beneficiary of all kinds of yagyas. Bhoktaram yajya tapasam. So this is coming from verse 5th chapter, 29th verse, last verse of the 5th chapter. Krishna says, Bhoktaram yajya tapasam sarva loka mageshwaram sukhurtam sarva bhutanam nyatvam mam shantim richati. Right? He is the benefactor of all the penances and austerities. Bhoktaram yajya tapasam sarva loka mageshwaram. He is the actually controller. He is the supreme controller of all the planets and the demigods who are controlling all those planets. And then he is Sukhurdam Sarva Bhutanam. He is the well-wisher of all living entities. Nyatvam Mam Shantim Rachati. One who knows the truth about Krishna. Natvam means knowing. Mam, about me. Right? Shantim Rachati. Attains peace. So therefore, ultimate satisfaction of the Yajnapati is the chief purpose of all Yajnas. When these Yajnas are perfectly performed, naturally the demigods in charge of the different departments of supply are pleased. and there is no scarcity in the supply of natural products. So earlier, Prabhupada says that there are different sacrifices meant to please different devatas. But even in all those sacrifices, ultimately the chief of all sacrifices is Vishnu. If you take any Vedic sacrifice, it begins with offering mantra to Vishnu. If you take any bona fide yajna, if a priest conducts Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnu, right? He starts with, mantra to Vishnu, and then all the yajnas. When a bona fide person performs all the yajnas, in the end, he will always chant one mantra, Sarvam Krishna Arpanam Astu. Any bona fide Vedic sacrifice begins with, even if you are performing a sacrifice to please, let's say Surya Deva or any other Devata, it starts with offering mantra to Vishnu and then ends with, Sarvam Krishna Arpanam Astu. This is what Vedic culture is. So ultimately, right, even when we are trying to please a particular demigod, we are trying to indirectly please the Supreme Lord only. So that is why here Prabhupada said, right, all the yajnas are perfectly performed, right? The demigods are pleased. But who the demigods are getting the power from? Ultimately, they are actually getting the power from the Supreme Lord only. They are all nothing but empowered administrators. If you take a government, right, if you take government of India, the head of everybody is the Prime Minister. But the Prime Minister actually delegates the authority to different ministers in different departments, right? The Finance Department, the Defense Department, the Trade and Commerce Department, the Technology Department, the Education Department. Like that, various administrative function of this universe is handed over to different devata. So performance of yajna has many side benefits, ultimately leading to liberation from material bondage. By performance of yajna, all activities become purified. As it is stated in the Vedas, Ahara Shuddho Sattva Suddhi, Sattva Shuddho Dhruva Smriti, Smriti Lambe Sarva Gratinam Vipramokshe. By the performance of yajna, one's eatable becomes sanctified, and by eating sanctified foodstuff, one's very existence becomes purified. By the purification of existence, finer tissue in the memory becomes sanctified, and when the memory is sanctified, one can think of the path of liberation. And all this combined together lead to Krishna consciousness, the great necessity of present day society. So even if one is not actually understanding who is Krishna, not understanding that the goal of life is to attain perfection and go back to spiritual world, I am interested, if I don't understand all these things, I am interested to make living in this world, but I want to do it in a bona fide way. For that person, when he follows this bona fide Vedic path of performing yajna and sacrifices and make comfortable arrangement in this world, when he does that, right, even though his goal is to live comfortably in this material world, hence he is trying to do all these yajnas to please various devatas so that he can receive the benefits from them or the facilities from them. What is the side benefit he is getting? He will get purified, right? Because whenever you do yajna, from the yajna, what comes? The yajna prasad, right? The foodstuff which are offered, when you eat that, one gets purified. By eating the foodstuff which are offered in the yajna, one gets purified, right? That's what Prabhupada is quoting, right? The Vedic shloka. Agara Shuddhau Sattva Suddhihi, Sattva Shuddhau Dhruva Smriti, Smritir Lambe Sarva Gratinam Vipramokshaha. By performance of yajna, one's eatable becomes purified or sanctified. And by eating sanctified foodstuffs, one's very existence becomes purified. once one's existence is purified, right, his finer tissues in the memory become sanctified. And when the memory is sanctified, one can think of the path of liberation. Even though my goal is not liberation, I am just trying to be materially comfortable in this world. But when I do it as prescribed in the Vedas by performance of yajna, eventually I will seek the path of liberation. So this is the benefit. That's why Krishna is telling, even if one cannot give up the material desires, right? But still, if they do the prescribed duty as an offering unto Vishnu by performance of various yajnas, eventually he will get purified. Eventually he will seek the path of liberation. Eventually he will attain liberation, right? So that's what Prabhupada is telling, right? That when somebody is sufficiently purified, when he had accumulated, enough amount of pious credit, he can understand how things work. His discriminating function will work properly. Then that discriminating function will ultimately lead to the path of Krishna consciousness. And that is the great necessity of the present day society. Next verse. Ishtan Bhogan Hive Deva Tashyante Yagya Bhavitaha Tair Datan Apradaya Yo Bhuktestena Eva Shaha. Ishtan, desired, Bhogan, necessities of life, he certainly Vaha, unto you, Devaha, the demigods, Dashyante, will award Yagya Bhavitaha, being satisfied by the performance of sacrifices, Taihi, by them, Datan, things given, Apradaya, without offering, Yebyaga, to this demigods, Yaga, he who, Bhunkte, enjoys, Tenaga, thief, Yeva, certainly, Saga, he. Translation. In charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of yajna, sacrifice, will supply all necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. Purport. The demigods are authorized supplying agents on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Therefore, they must be satisfied by the performance of prescribed yajnas. In the Vedas, there are different kinds of yajnas prescribed for different kinds of demigods, but all are ultimately offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For one who cannot understand what the Personality of Godhead is, sacrifice to the demigod is recommended. According to different material qualities of the persons concerned, different types of yajnas are recommended in the Vedas. Worship of different demigods is also on the same basis, namely according to different qualities. For example, the meat eaters are recommended to worship goddess Kali, the ghastly form of material nature. And before the goddess, the sacrifice of animals is recommended. But those who are in the mode of goodness, the transcendental worship of Vishnu is recommended. But ultimately, all yajnas are meant for gradual promotion to the transcendental position. For ordinary men, at least 5 yajnas, known as Panchamaga yajnas, are necessary. So, this is the speciality of the Vedic path. Doesn't matter what is the situation of the follower, right? Compared to all the other religion, this is the greatness of Vedic religion. If you take any religion, though all those religions has certain do's and don'ts. If you do those, then only you are follower of the religion. If you do not accept, you will be rejected. You are not follower, you are against the religion, right? If you take any religion, whether it's Islam or Christianity or Buddhism, all this religion has very specific tenets. If you do not accept those tenets, you will not be accepted as a Christian or a Muslim or a Buddhist or whatever it is. Whereas Vedic religion, right, doesn't matter what your belief is or what your faith is. It accepts you where you belong. From that point onwards, it will help you to gradually increase your faith to come to the level of mode of goodness, right? People from all walks of life can be accommodated in the Vedic religion. For example, if a person has a desire to eat meat, that person is not rejected. Oh, if you eat meat, you will suffer, you go to hell. No, it doesn't reject. Okay, because your discriminating ability is not working properly, if you are situated in the mode of ignorance or passion, the discriminating ability of intelligence doesn't work, right? So you can't discriminate what is good, what is bad, because I'm attached to the particular activity, so I have to do. So even for those people, there are prescriptions. If you are attached to eating meat, there is a prescription, right? What is that prescription? You offer this yagya or sacrifice to goddess Kali. How? If you're interested in eating meat, you cannot, randomly eat. You can't eat every day, or you can't eat, anything what you want. There is a prescription, right? You can eat only once a day, once a month, right? So you have to only you can eat, the goat which is offered in sacrifice. What is the process? On the day of Amavasya, in the night time, right? One has to take a black goat, take it to the Kali temple, which will be usually outside of the village. The person who wants to eat meat, he has to take the goat himself and then bring in front of goddess Kali. And then, he has to chant a mantra in the ear of the goat, Mam Isaha. And then, looking at the eyes of the goat, he has to cut the throat. After that, he can take that meat. So this is the restriction. Now, a person who is doing it like this, eventually he might ask the priest, I am chanting this mantra in the ear of the goat. What does it mean? Then the priest says, Mam Isaga means, Mam means me, right? Isaga means you can do this to me. Now, because I am not able to control my tongue, I am actually killing this goat. Now, the goat, you can eventually take the birth of a human being and you can come and kill me as a goat. That's what the mantra means. From that word, only Mamisa word came. From that mantra, only Mamisa, the word for meat, had come from this only. Mam is a head. So, a person who does this, then he will realize, oh, how many goats I get sacrificed so far? How many times I have to take birth again as a goat? How many times I have to, get killed by this goat again? So why I should give up? What is this thing? I'm not able to control the tongue. That's why I'm going through this. I don't want to suffer. He will give up eating the meat eventually. And then he will get purified from this process. Right? So this is how for every propensity one has, depending on whether somebody is in mode of ignorance or passion or goodness, different types of yagyas are prescribed. So the different types of yagyas, as Prabhupada says, is according to the person who is performing the yagya, the different activities are, prescribed. Ultimately, he is telling that for ordinary men means who is actually some amount of intelligence is working, who want to come to mode of goodness, this Panchamaga yagya has to be performed, right? Every person is causing always 5 types of violences. What are the 5 types of violences? The one, the grinder one he has, through which he is actually grinding various things, which is required to sustain. He is actually affecting living entities by taking bath, by cooking. Like that, there are 5 types of violences are performed in the ordinary course of life. Even one who is a vegetarian, he is going through this. To counteract that, there are 5 types of yagyas are prescribed. So one should know, however, that all the necessities of life that human society requires are supplied by the demigods, agents of the Lord. No one can manufacture anything. Take, for example, all the eatables of human society. These eatables include grains, fruits, vegetables, milk, sugar, etc. for the persons in the mode of goodness, and also eatables for the non-vegetarians, like meats, none of which can be manufactured by men. Then again, take for example heat, light, water, air, etc., which are all necessities of life. None of them can be manufactured by human society. Without the Supreme Lord, there can be no profuse sunlight, moonlight, rainfall, breeze, etc., without which no one can live. Obviously, our life is dependent on the supplies from the Lord. Even for our manufacturing enterprises, we require many raw materials like metal, sulfur, mercury, manganese, and so many essentials. All of these are supplied by agents of the Lord with the purpose that we should make proper use of them to keep ourselves fit and healthy for the purpose of self-realization, leading to the ultimate goal of life, namely liberation from the material struggle for existence. The aim of life is attained by the performance of yajnas. If we forget the purpose of human life and simply take supplies from the agents of the Lord for sense gratification and become more and more entangled in material existence, which is not the purpose of creation, certainly we become thieves. And therefore, we are punished by the laws of material nature. A society of thieves can never be happy, because they have no aim in life. The gross materialist thieves have no ultimate goal of life. They are simply directed to sense gratification, nor do they have knowledge of how to perform yajnas. Lord Chaitanya, however, inaugurated the easiest performance of yajna, namely the Sankirtana yajna, which can be performed by anyone in the world who accepts the principles of Krishna consciousness. So here, Prabhupada very nicely summarized, right? All the necessities in this world are coming from the agents of the Lord. Nothing, no one can survive without all these natural resources. All these natural resources are coming from the personalities in charge of those departments. So the goal of life is to perform all this yajna. By performance of yajna, they get all these facilities so that they can keep the body and soul together, so that they don't have to struggle for the existence. And then when they don't have to struggle so much for the existence, they can use the time to deliberate on the spiritual knowledge. They can take up the path of liberation. Ultimately, they can get liberated from this material entanglement in this world, go back to the spiritual world. Right? One who does not understand, actually, he might go against this path of liberation, get further and further entangled. Right? They are simply called thieves. Thieves, what they get punishment from the authority. So that's what Mother Nature is providing. So one might have the question, okay, this performance of yajna, I don't have all the facilities available. First of all, to perform yajna, you need all these necessary ingredients. You need a performer, right? You need a priest to perform this yajnas, and he should know all the mantras properly and everything. I don't have the facilities. What should I do? In Kali Yuga, all these are not possible. That is why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared 500 years ago, he inaugurated this Kali Yuga Dharma, right? It is called Sankirtana Yajna, congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Anybody who understands the principles of Krishna consciousness can easily perform this chanting of the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. By doing this, one is actually getting all the benefits of performing all the sacrifices. Because if you please the head, automatically all the dependents, all the subordinates are pleased. If you are pleasing the Prime Minister, automatically all the other ministers of the various departments are automatically pleased. Right? So that is what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inaugurated. Right? Yajya Shishtano Shanto Muchyante Sarvakil Bishahi Bunchante Tet Agam Papa ye papchanti atma karanat. Yajya shishta are food taken after performance of yajya, ashinaga, eaters, shantaga, the devotees, muchante, get relief, serve all kinds of kilbishehi, from sins, bunchate, enjoy, te, they, tu, but, agam, grievous sins, papaga, sinners, ye, who, pachanti, prepare food, atma karanat, for sense enjoyment. Translation: the devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. Purport: the devotees of the Law, Supreme Lord, are the persons who are in Krishna conscious, are called Shantas. They are always in love with the Lord as it is described in the Brahma Samhita. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. The Shantas, being always in a compact of love with the Supreme Personality of Godhead Govinda, the giver of all pleasures, or Mukunda, the giver of liberation, or Krishna, the all-attractive person, cannot accept anything without first offering it to the Supreme Person. Therefore, such devotees always perform yajnas in different modes of devotional service, such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Archanam, etc. Right? These methods, Navavida Bhakti, the 9 types of devotional service, is described in Srimad Bhagavatam by Prahlad Maharaja in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, right? Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. These are the 9 types of devotional service. And these performance of yajnas keep them always aloof from all kinds of contamination of sinful association in the material worlds. Others who prepare food for self or sense gratification are not only thieves but also the eaters of all kind of sins. How can a person be happy if he is both a thief and sinful? It is not possible. Therefore, in order for the people to become happy in all respects, they must be taught to perform the easy process of Sankirtana Yajna in full Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, there can be no peace or happiness in this world. Next verse. Annat bhavati bhutani parjyant anna sambhavaha yajnat bhavati parjanyo yajya karma samudbhavaha. Annat, from grains, bhavanti, grow, bhutani, the material bodies, parjanyat, from rains, anna, of food grains, sambhavaga, production, yajnat, from performance of sacrifice, bhavati, become possible, parjanyaha, rain, yajyaha, performance of yajya, karma, prescribed duties, samudbhavaha, born of. Translation: all living bodies subsist on food grains which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yajna, sacrifice, and yajna is born of prescribed duties. Purport: Srila Baladev Vidyabhushana, a great commentator on Bhagavad Gita, writes as follows: Ye Indriyadi Angat Ya Vasistam Yagyam Sarveshwaram Vishnum Abhyarcha Tattesham Ashnanti Tena Taddega Yatram Sampadayanti Te Shantaga Sarveshwarasya Yagya Purushai Bhakta Sarva Kilbishir Anadi Kala Vivardair Atman Bhava Pradibandakair Nikilaha Papair Vimuchyante. The Supreme Lord, who is known as the Yajna Purusha, or the personal beneficiary of all sacrifices, is the master of all demigods who serve him as the different limbs of the body serve the whole. The demigods like Indra, Chandra, and Varuna are appointed officers who manage material affairs, and the Vedas direct sacrifices to satisfy these demigods so that they may be pleased to supply air, light, and water sufficiently to produce food grains. When Lord Krishna is worshipped, the demigods, who are all different limbs of the Lord, are also automatically worshipped. Therefore, there is no separate need to worship the demigods. For this reason, The demigods of the devotees of the Lord who are in Krishna consciousness offer food to Krishna and then eat, a process which nourishes the body spiritually. By such action, not only are past sinful reaction in the body vanquished, but the body becomes immunized to all contamination of material nature. When there is an epidemic disease, an antiseptic vaccine protects the body from the attack of such an epidemic. Similarly, food offered to Vishnu and then taken by us makes us sufficiently resistant to material affection, and one who is accustomed to this practice is called a devotee of the Lord. Therefore, a person in Krishna consciousness who eats food only offered to Krishna can counteract all reactions of the past material infections, which are impediments to the progress of self-realization. On the other hand, one who does not do so continues to increase the volume of sinful action, and this prepares the next body to resemble the hawks and dogs, to suffer the resultant reactions of all sins. The material world is full of contamination, right? The material world is full of contamination, and those who is immunized by accepting prasadam for the Lord, food offered to Vishnu, is saved from the attack, whereas one who does not do so become subjected to contamination. Food, grains, or vegetables are factually eatables. The human beings eat different kinds of food grains, vegetables, fruits, etc. And animal eat refuse of the food grains and vegetables, grass, plants, etc. Human beings who are accustomed to eating meat and flesh must also depend on the production of vegetation in order to eat the animals. Therefore, ultimately we have to depend on the production of the field, not on the production of big factories. The field production is due to sufficient rain from the sky, and such rains are controlled by the demigods like Indra, sun, moon, etc. And they are all the servants of the Lord. The Lord can be satisfied by sacrifices. Therefore, one who cannot perform them will find himself in scarcity. And that is the law of nature. Yajna, specifically the Sankirtana Yajna, prescribed for this age, must therefore be performed to save us at least from the scarcity of food supply. You know, in the three purports, 3 times Prabhupada is quoting this Sankirtana Yajna, which is very easy to perform. Congregational chanting of the holy names. So that can actually give all facilities. You know, the devotees, you know, like one time in Fiji Island, they were going through drought. You know, usually the island countries, right? They cannot supply from other places, cannot get supply easily from other places. When there is a drought, pretty much the whole economy comes to grounding halt, and people are going through all kind of difficulties when there is no sufficient foodstuff is not provided. So there was continuously drought for so many years in Fiji Island. At that time, right, the disciples of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder of ISKCON, especially His Holiness, Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, he was actually in preaching in Fiji. At that time, the people in Fiji, they were asking, can you produce rain? You are saying that, by worshipping Krishna, by performing Sankirtana Yajna, everything can be done. Can you produce rain? Then, His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, yes, it is as scripture says, if we perform congregational chanting, rain will come. So he announced, tomorrow we are going to perform congregational chanting of the holy names. Please invite everybody as much as possible. Then the devotees went in the street next day, and then everybody chanted, including the public. Eventually, when they finished the chanting, the rain did come. So this actually is the process to sustain life in the Kali Yuga. Next verse. Karma brahmotvam vidhi brahma akshara samudbhavam tasmat sarva gatam brahma nityam yagya pratishtitam karma, work, Brahma from the Vedas, Udbhavam, produced Vidhi. You should know Brahma, the Vedas, Akshara from the Supreme Brahman, personality of Godhead, Samudbhavam, directly manifested, Tasmat, therefore, Sarvagatam, all pervading, Brahma, transcendence, Nityam, eternally, Yajyaha, in sacrifice, Pratishtitam, situated. Translation. Regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, all pervading transcendence is eternally situated in acts of sacrifice. Purport. Yajnartha karma are the necessity of work for the satisfaction of Krishna only is more expressly stated in this verse. If we have to work for the satisfaction of Yajna Purusha Vishnu, then we must find out the direction of work in Brahman or the transcendental Vedas. The Vedas are therefore codes of working directions. Anything performed without the direction of the Vedas is called Vikarma or unauthorized or sinful work. Therefore, one should always take direction from the Vedas to be saved from the reaction of work. As one has to work in the ordinary life by the direction of the state, one similarly has to work under the direction of the supreme state of the Lord. Thus, directions So such direction in the Vedas are directly manifested from the breathing of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is said, Asya Magato Bhutasya Nishvashishtam Etat Yat Rigvedo Yajurveda Sama Vedo Atar Vangirashaka. The four Vedas, namely the Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Sama Veda, and Atharva Veda, are all emanations from the breathing of the Personality of Godhead. Brihat Aranyaka Upanishad 4.5.11. The Lord, being omnipotent, can speak by breathing air, or as it is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita, the Lord has the omnipotence to perform through each of his senses the actions of other senses. In the other words, the Lord can speak through his breathing, and he can impregnate by his eyes. In fact, it is said that he glanced over the material nature and thus fathered all living entities. After creating or impregnating the conditioned souls into the womb of material nature, he gave his direction in the Vedic wisdom as to how such conditioned souls can return home back to Godhead. We should always remember that the conditioned souls in the material nature are all eager for material enjoyment. But the Vedic directions are so made that one can satisfy one's perverted desires, then return to Godhead, having finished his so-called enjoyment. It is a chance for the conditioned souls to attain liberation. Therefore, the conditioned souls must try to follow the process of yajna by becoming Krishna conscious. Even though who have not followed the Vedic injunctions may adopt the principles of Krishna consciousness, and that will take the place of performance of Vedic yajnas or karmas. So here, Prabhupada is specifically telling people who knows the path of Vedas, they do prescribed duties according to the Vedas and they can get benefit. People who do not know any of this, people who belong outside of the Vedic Dharma, outside of this Varnashrama, people who are belonging to outside of this four Varnas, they also can get benefit simply by engaging in Krishna conscious activities. Right? So that is the process. It is universal. It does not exclude people only born in a particular caste or creed or race or country or anything like that. The universal process of Krishna consciousness, which is described by in the Bhagavad Gita, is beneficial to all, not only people who are believing in a particular religion or a particular scripture or a particular sect or anything like that. Everyone can get benefit, right? The next verse, we will stop in the next verse because this concludes this section, right? Evam pravartitam chakram nanu vartyate yaha agyer indriyaramo moham partha sajivati. Evam, thus pravartitam, established by the Vedas, chakram, cycle, does not anuvartyati, adopt iha in this life, yaga, one who, aga ayuhu, whose life is full of sense, indriya aramaha, satisfied in sense gratification, mogam, uselessly, partha, O son of Pritha Arjuna, Saka he jivati lives. Translation. Yeah, my dear Arjuna, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice, thus established by the Vedas, certainly leads a life full of sin, living only for the satisfaction of the senses. Such a person lives in vain. Purport. The Mamonist philosophy of work very hard and enjoy sense gratification is condemned herein by the Lord. Therefore, for those who want to enjoy this material world, the above mentioned cycle of performance of yajna is absolutely necessary. One who does not follow such regulation is living a very risky life. Being condemned more and more by nature's law, this human form of life is especially meant for self-realization in either of the three ways, namely Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. There is no necessity of rigidly following the performance of the prescribed yajnas for the transcendentalists who are above vice and virtue. But those who are engaged in sense gratification require purification by the above mentioned cycle of yajna performances. There are different kinds of activities. Those who are not Krishna conscious are certainly engaged in sensory consciousness. Therefore, they need to execute pious work. The yajna system is planned in such a way that the sensory conscious persons may satisfy their desires without being entangled in the reaction of sense gratificatory work. The prosperity of the world depends not on our own efforts, but on the background arrangement of the Supreme Lord, directly carried out by the demigods. Therefore, the yajnas are directly aimed at the particular demigods mentioned in the Vedas. Indirectly, it is the practice of Krishna consciousness, because when one masters the performance of yajna, one is sure to become Krishna conscious. But if performance of yajna one does not become Krishna conscious, such principles are counted as only moral codes. One should not therefore limit his progress only to the point of moral codes, but should transcend them to attain Krishna consciousness. So here, Prabhupada is telling, for the people who just want to enjoy in this material world, they should perform these various yajnas. By performance of yajnas, they will get purified. When they get purified, they can understand the goal of life. They can understand that everything is sustained by Vasudeva. Right? Bhagunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapatyate Vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma shuddharlabhaga. As 7th chapter, 19th verse, Krishna says, a person after many births, right? One who attains in knowledge, one who is in proper knowledge, he surrenders to me, knowing that I am the cause of all causes. Such a person is very rare. So, a person, when he go through the purificatory process of performance of yajna, eventually he will come to understand that everything is sustained by Vasudeva, right? Everything is sustained by Vasudeva. Hence, by surrendering to Vasudeva, everything will become perfect. So, one who does not come to this conclusion, for those people, the principles of Vedas only remain as a moral code. Just following the moral code is not sufficient. One has to transcend them to attain Krishna consciousness. So that is the perfection of human life. So this process of Sankirtana Yajna was inaugurated by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 500 years ago, who appeared in the region of West Bengal, right, Navadip. So he appeared approximately 500 years ago, right? His appearance day is coming Sunday, the next Sunday, 28th. The Purnima is called Gaurav Purnima. That is the day of appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's very auspicious, by praying to him, one can get by his blessings. He is actually Krishna himself. Next week we will talk about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu little bit to know more about his teachings, and then how he inaugurated the congregational chanting of the holy names, how he established this Yuga Dharma on the strength of the Vedas, specifically, right, by referring to, Kalishantarana Upanishad and various scriptures, right? He established this congregational chanting of the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It is a very, very easy process, right? But the results are very profound, right? So we will talk about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu after covering a little bit of the next section, right? The fourth section. Then we will talk about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and how he established this Yuga Dharma. So at this time, we'll stop here. Any comments, any questions? Sorry, I went a little over, because I wanted to complete this section, the third section of this the third chapter. So next week we will start the fourth section, which is verses 17 to 35, which is very big, almost, 15 plus 4, right? 19 verses. We will try to cover as much as possible, and then it might take 1 week or maybe a couple of weeks. So next week also we'll, learn about the teachings of life and teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is his appearance day, next Sunday, Gaura Purnima. Any comments, any questions?
No, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for.
Yeah, so this section very nicely covered. Even people, who are like not interested so much in the transcending the material world, going back to the spiritual world, but if they perform this yagyas, eventually they get purified. Here, very specifically, Krishna says, my devotees are relieved from all kind of sinful reactions, because simply they are offering the food stuff which are offered to me, Vishnu. Right? So it's a very simple process. The Krishna conscious process is very simple. It can be followed by anybody. It doesn't have to be one who's born in a Hindu family or a Brahmin family or, believe only in these things. No. Anybody and everybody can actually do this. It's a very universal process. Anybody, it's a science. Anybody who does that, he will see elevation in consciousness.
So people perform yajnas only for the material benefits. Is that right?
In general, if you look at all the prescribed yagyas in the Vedas, they are all for material benefit only.
Okay.
But of course, when you study deeply the Vedas, then you will come to conclusion all these yagyas, even though it's directed to different demigods, ultimately they are all connected to the Supreme Lord Vishnu. By the pleasure of Vishnu, only everybody ultimately gets everything. So hence, a person who has more developed knowledge, he directly takes the worship of Vishnu. So the prescriptions are given to all the personalities, all the devatas in charge of different departments. But also worship of Vishnu also is there in the Vedas. But a person who has sufficient knowledge, he understands Vishnu worship and the demigod worships, they are not on the same platform. You will see later in the 9th chapter, Krishna addresses more on this. People who are worshipping all the different devatas, according to the modes they are situated, they are all worshipping me only in an indirect way. So it's better to worship the Supreme Lord in a direct way. By worshipping the demigods, right, one might limit himself. Whereas by worshipping Vishnu, not only Vishnu is placed, all the devatas are automatically placed. So for a worshipper of Vishnu, he doesn't have to perform separately any yagyas to please the other devatas. That is why now earlier we saw, right? According to Srimad Bhagavatam, the devotee of the Lords, they don't have any obligation to the ancestors, to the devatas, or to anybody. Because by pleasing Vishnu, automatically everybody is pleased. As I said, the 90% of the Vedas deals with this karma kanda, meaning doing yajnas for material benefits, right? Dhanam Jegi, Janam Dehi, right? Like that, people are worship for, good health, good wealth, good, children, or like, followers, all these different things. But they are all for material benefits. But even for material benefits, they do according to the Vedas, they will eventually will get purified. But if they don't follow this directions given by the Vedas, then they are living a very risky life. That means there will be a consequent reaction. I hope that answers your question, Katyayani ji.
Yes, yes.
So
Thank
when
you.
we go through the entire Bhagavad Gita, right, we will understand all the pieces, how the Sanatan Dharma, the Vedic religion, is very, very scientific. It's all actually gradually elevates people. People from the elementary school to people all the way up to PhD or even post-doc researchers. For everybody, there is a path. There is, engagement is given so that they can progress ultimately to this level of mode of goodness. From the mode of goodness, they can go to mode of Suddha Sattva, pure goodness, which is spiritual. They can transcend the three modes. That's why earlier, in the second chapter, Krishna said, Arjuna, Vedas are pretty much only dealing with the three modes. One has to transcend these three modes. Come to Shuddha Sattva or spirituality. So thank you very much. That's a very good question, Katyayani ji.
Thank you.
Yeah. So if not, then we'll come to conclusion. We'll stop here. So we'll continue next week on this fourth section, verses 17 to 35. In the first part, we'll cover some verses. And then the second part, maybe the last 30 minutes or so, or 15-20 minutes or so, we'll, understand the life and teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada.